Hello, this movie is to go over the answer key to the contract work for Unit 6. Keep in mind your due date for that contract. So it says round to the nearest tenth if needed. What is the sum of the interior angles? So I want to remind you to use that handbook. You guys have this on your summative retake. You have this. So to use this, you can see at the top that we've got polygons. Sum of the interior angles, n minus 2 times 180. Sum of the exterior angles is 360. So we're going to use that for this. What's the sum of the interior of a 23gon? 23 minus 2 times 180. And we get 3,780. Find the measure of one interior of the regular polygon. First, identify how many sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 sides. N equals 13. So to get the sum, you do 13 minus 2 times 180. And that gives you 1980. Now that's the sum. We want 1, so we have to divide by how many angles there are, which is 13. And that gives us 152.3 degrees. What is the measure of one exterior of a regular pentagon? Exterior angles always equal 360, so the sum of the exteriors 360, and we have to divide that out by 5 because there's going to be 5 exterior. That gives us 72 degrees. So check this first slide. Make sure you see me with any questions if you've got any of these wrong. Look at number 4. To get x, x is supplementary to 116. So for x, we're doing 180 minus 116, and we get 64 degrees. To get y, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-sided figure. So 7 minus 2 times 180 equals 900. 900 is equal to, and we add all these angles together. And that will give us, I'm going to simplify because you guys should have already done this, 755 plus y, and then we subtract 755, we get 145 equals y. So y is 145 degrees. That's how you solve that. Given a parallelogram, we have that xyz is 72 degrees. Find each angle measure. So we need to find ZWX, which is this guy. Opposite angles in a parallelogram are congruent, so this is 72 degrees. We need to find this guy, WXY, and these are going to be same side interior, so they're supplementary, meaning 180 minus 72 equals 108. And that is all based on properties of parallelograms. Opposite angles congruent, consecutive angles supplementary. What values of y and st make RSTU a parallelogram? We can see what's listed here is we're using the properties, and again, you've got all the properties right here. We're going to be using that opposite sides are congruent when we have a parallelogram. So we've got, you can see that with the 7 equal to 7. 4y minus 5 is going to be equal to 3y plus 5. You solve this and you get y equals 10. So y is 10, and I can plug in 10. 3 times 10 plus 5, 30 plus 5, st is 35. Find the measures of each number in this parallelogram. Parallelograms, you can see that this guy's 84. They do not have right angles here, only a rhombus does. This is going to be a linear pair, so 1 is going to be a linear pair with 84. So to get angle 1, you're going to have to do 180 minus 84. Angle 1 is 96 degrees. So if that's 96 degrees, here we've got 67 degrees. This is 41 degrees. Because opposite sides are parallel, 3 is also 41 degrees because 3 and the 41 are alternate interior. So I'm going to put 41 degrees down here. Angle 2 and angle 3 form a triangle right here. Those add up to be 180. So 180 minus 96 minus 41 gives us angle 2, which is 43. And if 2 is 43, well, 4 is 43 as well, because they are alternate interior angles. Okay, let's go to the next page, see how you did over here. Number 8, you've got a parallelogram, which means that diagonals are bisected. So the 2x equals 24, and we solve that for x and get 12. And the 15 is equal to the 3y and divide by 3, and we get y is equal to 5. Determine whether the parallelogram is a rhombus, rectangle, or square. This type of problem always start with what you see. And what we have here, and here's our reasoning, all 4 angles are 90 degrees. Now look here, where do we have all 4 angles 90 degrees? That's with the rectangle. So this shape is a rectangle because all 4 angles are 90 degrees. Too often I see just random properties listed here and they're not shown on the diagram. This has to be shown on the diagram. Find CD. Now RS is equal to ST is equal to TU. When we have parallel lines, cutting one transversal into congruent parts, it'll cut every transversal into congruent parts. So that's also 7.6, and this is 7.6. CD is 7.6. Solve for each numbered angle in the given rhombus. So we need the measure of angle 1, 2, and 3. 1 is going to be a 90-degree angle. Rhombuses have diagonals that are perpendicular. It's listed right there in your property page. So 1 is 90 degrees. Then this is 47, this is 47. Rhombuses have diagonals that bisect opposite angles. So angle 3 is 47 degrees. Now if this is 47, this is 90, we can get the measure of angle 2. They add up to be 180. So this is going to be 43 degrees. Given this rectangle, AC is one of the diagonals, DB is the other diagonals. I know with the rectangle that diagonals are congruent. So I'm going to set these equal to each other. 5x minus 7 equal to 4x plus 2. Solve this guy for x. I get x is 9. Find the length of a mid-segment. This is the mid-segment, and it's the average of the other two lengths. So I'm going to take 42, add 90, divide by 2, and you get that x is 66. And then double check. The difference between 66 and 42 should be the same between the difference of 66 and 90 because it's the average. The mid-segment is the average. On this one, my mid-segment, 4x, is equal to 76 plus 104 divided by 2. Now you can multiply both sides by 2 or solve from here. And I get 8x equals 76 plus 104. 8x equals 180. X equals 22.5. So 22.5, and my mid-segment length I have to multiply by 4. So multiply 22.5 times 4 and you get 90. Now 90 makes sense. It's between 76 and 104, and it is the middle number between the two. Solve for the number of angles in this kite. It's a kite because consecutive sides are congruent. We know kites have, let's look over here, diagonals that are perpendicular. So I know that one is going to be 90 degrees. Now I know that that longest diagonal also bisects that angle, so angle 3 is going to be 44 degrees. And so if this is 44, 90, I can get the measure of angle 2. It forms a triangle, and that's 46 degrees. Number 16 is an isosceles trapezoid because the legs are congruent, telling me that the base angles are congruent. So my 76 is equal to 4x, and I solve that. X is 19. And then for this last problem, you could have multiple things. It says, given that it's a square, prove two properties that make it a square. So, given that it's a square, what you could do is prove that it is first a rhombus by showing diagonals perpendicular or by showing all four sides congruent. Then you need to prove that it's also a rectangle by showing that you have four 90-degree angles or showing that you have diagonals congruent, because a square is both a rectangle and a rhombus. So you'll need to show both rectangle and rhombus. So I have multiple things that you could have here. Number one, you could prove diagonals are perpendicular. Diagonals being this length of the segment BD and AC. You could prove those perpendicular by getting the slope of BD, which is 2. The slope of AC is -1/2. Slopes are negative reciprocals. They're perpendicular. Therefore, a rhombus. To prove rectangle, you could prove diagonals congruent. So I got the length of diagonal DB, square root of 80, the length of diagonal AC, square root of 80, lengths of diagonals congruent, therefore we have a rectangle. You could prove a rhombus by getting all sides congruent. So to get AB, I formed a right triangle and did Pythagorean theorem. So here's AB, BC, CD, AD. All of them are square root of 40. So therefore all sides are congruent. They are a rhombus. Or you could get that, in order to show it's a rectangle, that all four are right angles, meaning the slope of AB and the slope of BC are going to be negative reciprocals. That will give us a right angle. So we get 1/3 and -3. 1/3 and -3. They are negative reciprocals. Therefore, I have four right angles. So this shape is a square, which was given. Prove the properties that make it a square, and you could prove two of these four things, because you first have to prove it's a rhombus and prove that it's a rectangle. All right, that's it for the contract work. Please see Mrs. Downer, see myself, if you have any questions at all.